Hi there and welcome back to Jay's Permaculture Allotment. So here goes part 2 of end of March Food Forest Tour 2021. So we've just done the half plot food forest tour from the original half plot that we did. Now we're going to go into the section that connects onto it, and I'll do a quick run through on there, and then I'll do a separate video for the newer section of food forest as well. Otherwise it gets a bit too long, and that way you can do it in bite-sized pieces. Okay, so let's flip the camera. So this is where we finished last time. So let's start over here. So we've got a fig in the ground here. So if memory serves, I think this is Desert King. And again, it's got a couple of graber figs forming. It's going to focus in. You get the idea anyway. And there's some around the top. Okay, so it's another perennial broccoli here. You can see it's just starting to send out the shoots now. Now the trick with the perennial broccoli is to make sure you keep up with all the harvesting of all the florets. So if you actually let it go to seed, it will then think it's done its job and will die. Whereas if you can keep harvesting all the florets, it will continue to grow for up to 5 years. And again, you can take cuttings from it as well. So I need to trim some of this rue back. So rue is a herb, not a culinary one, but it has its uses. And then tree wise, this first tree here is an Asian pear. I can't remember the actual variety off the top of my head, but most Asian pears are not self-fertile, so you've got to make sure you have another variety close by that flowers around the same time. So just along from it, this is a conference pear, which is a suitable pollinating partner for it. As you can see, the flowers are just opening on this one as well, so that's good timing. So again, it went in the ground just over a year ago, but this is the first time it's actually flowered. So it'd be interesting to see if we do get any fruits this year. Then we've got a dwarf mulberry, which the frost got to it a bit. Where is it? Here we go. So you can see all the branches down the base, they all got fried, but this main stem is still very much alive, which is good. And same with my Chilean guava down here. You can see a lot of the leaves gone brown, and some of the branches I've already pulled off because they were dead. But again, it's still got life, so it has tolerated temperatures of -6.5. It actually went down to. Got more figs. This is, I call it a J apple. It's apple that I grew from seed. So we'll see how it does. Because even if it turns out to be a healthy tree, but the fruits themselves aren't particularly good, I can always graft onto it. And then we've got some herbs. We've got some thyme down here. There's just a pile of grass that I pulled out. I let it dry, and then once it's dried I can compost it, so it's not a problem. And then we've got some feverfew here, some roses, and you can see the grape hyacinths as well as the normal ones. In amongst my fig trees, so I think I've got something like 17-18 varieties over on this half, including panache. So panache is this variegated stem. I don't know if you can see. Variegated stems on this one, but the actual figs, when you get them, are like humbugs. They're striped. So I've not had any figs on them yet, so we shall keep our fingers crossed for this year. And we've got many other varieties going along. There's strawberries as ground cover, as well as some weeds at the moment. But some of the weeds, the bees love the flowers on them. So as long as you get to them before they actually go to seed, they're not a problem. Yeah, so we've got more over here. This tree here that's actually in flower is just from the rootstock from my apricot tree over on my other plot. So it sent out some runners from the base, so I took those off and rooted those. So I deliberately let this one go to tree size so I can actually use this as my practice grafting tree. So because it can actually have any of the stone fruit grafted on it, so you haven't just got to stick to one fruit on there. So I only transplanted it, it was either very, very late last year or early part of this year. So I was surprised that it's even flowered, so I'm not sure exactly what the rootstock was on this one. So I don't know if it would actually produce a fruit that is actually edible, or if it's just something that the wildlife will use. But say I'll just let it do its thing for this year, and then I'll graft onto it early next year. More figs. More figs. Again, you can see the little brabers on there. And then these were just some cuttings that I rooted from the cranberries, I believe. More figs. This fig here is my J fig, so it's one that I've grown from seed. So until, if and when it fruits, we won't know what it's going to be like. But again, if it turns out to be something really tasty, then I've got my own variety. If it turns out to be a healthy tree but the fruits aren't all that, then I can graft onto it. Again, more figs, quite a lot of braber on this one. And we've got another apricot tree here. So this is one that again went in the ground last year, quite spindly, but it's filled out nicely. So I'm not worried about this one fruiting this year, so I've got plenty of others. This was one of the trees that I rescued from the compost pile. There was this one and one over the other side, which I'll show you in a minute. Not sure what they are, but I don't like to see plants just ripped out and then thrown to die. So I went into rescue mode, and so I'll give it a space in the ground, because I'm sure even if it doesn't produce anything edible, that nature will still appreciate it. This is a mulberry, so it's actually a mulberry tree, this one, so this will get bigger. And then over here we have an autumn olive, so again another nitrogen fixer, but again this one's not self-fertile, so I'm not sure if they're terrific because they're both Elaeagnus. I'm not sure if that would also cross-pollinate with this one. So I might try a bit of hand pollinating, because it's not exactly right next to this one. And then if it turns out that it is, then I can always get another one to put in a bit closer to this one, so we can get some fruits on this one too. I've just spotted some lily, but I don't know if you can see. There's also some lily beetles on here, as well as I can see ladybird, but there's also lily beetles. So that's the ladybird there. But the other red is a lily beetle. They munch their way through these, and last year they did. So I don't know if I'll end up getting any lilies on this one, or if they're going to munch their way through. I don't like to kill any insects. I will quite often sort of knock them off or move them elsewhere. These are just some hardy geraniums, or cranesbill. some perennial leeks. Just here, again, just from seed. And this one is Mulberry, which is just coming back. It looks like a comical strawberry, the actual fruit on it. You can see it does travel, so it's coming up here as well, and there is only one plant. So it's good to know that it does spread, because they're not cheap to buy and they're not easy to find. Again, another Chilean guava here. More strawberries. Another globe artichoke. Then we've got our hugel mound. So this one's been in about a year and a half now. So I grew on it all last year. So this is just a goji berry. That was a cutting last year. This is a pomegranate here that's just coming back to life. Don't know if you can see the red buds coming through. But that was from seed. You'll see all the way along here on both sides, if I can zoom out. This is 8 meters long, this hugel. So either side, that's elephant garlic. And there's cranberries and pine berries in amongst. And then you've got the monster beast, as they call it here, of my perennial broccoli. And again, you can see it'll be ready for harvesting shortly. These florets. The size of this one's a monster in comparison to the others. So this is Pomegranate Tree, this one. Again, I've got 2 of these. I've got one over on the other side. So this one's a Red Haven Peach. And then this bush here, that's a Senjed fruit tree. Again, not had any flowers on it yet, but it was only a 2-year-old when I put it in. I'm not sure how old they have to be before they start producing. So it'd be interesting to see if I get anything this year. Another Chilean guava. Only a little one because I had to cut them back, so I had a lot of winter damage. Some more woodland strawberries. So remember I was saying on the other side, one that had the white flowers on that I rescued. This was the other rescue. Now this one, the leaves look very similar to an apple. So I'm not sure, it could even be something like a crab apple. Crab apples are great for cross-pollinating with eating apples as well, so all is good there. So we've got grapevines along here that are just starting to come back to life. They're on both sides. And you can see the other side of the hugel. And again, the seedling tree, that's another J apple. So one that I've grown from seed basically. So I've got some J grapevines too. So I've got 2 grapevines that I've grown from seed that again are coming back again. This would be year 3 for them. So again, not sure how long it takes for a grapevine to fruit from seed. This is one of them. So coming back to life now, which is good. And then these are willows that are growing here along the edge. So I'm going to be trailing those up and over and creating an arch, and then I'll train the grapevines around that rather than over wires and things. Then we've got these beds we've made into flower-based beds, so I've got lots of stuff starting from seed for flowers. But I've also put an apricot tree in here. which is just starting to send up shoots there. Then we've got the blueberry bed, so it's all ericaceous compost in this one. And then we've got another bed similar to the other one with another apricot here. So there was just one more tree, actually two more trees that I haven't shown you yet that are fairly new. Let's get around here. Sorry if you're getting seasick with me walking around. So this was one of the newer fruit trees. This one's a Concord pear. And again, just showing signs of life here. And we've got some borage coming up. It's already coming into flower. And then we've got some comfrey coming up here next to my new quince tree. So and the quince is literally just starting to bud now, so but it went in fairly late. And then you've got more goji, another J apple, some Australian mountain pepper, and then we've got a quince, flowering quince here. Only a young plant, but you can see it's just an abundance of flower buds. And we've got dwarf raspberry, and then we've got, I think this one was called a Himalayan raspberry, I could be wrong, or Japanese, one of the two, I can't remember, but it's just coming up. It disappears into nothing. I don't know if you can make out the leaves coming up, but it has a pink flower to it and it has a fruit similar to a raspberry. So we've got a peony. Again, that was something that I rescued from where someone had thrown it on the compost. And then we've got a loquat that was from seed. And then you've got the second pomegranate here. Okay, so that concludes part 2 of end of March Food Forest Tour 2021. So I shall catch you in part 3, where we go over the last half plot food forest, which is the newest plantings. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch up with you next time. Take care.